By the time I realized it, it's already after school. The whole day is a blur. I went to the nurse's office during every break, but was turned away after hearing she was still asleep. Then I returned to the blank existence that was class. Today was simply that, repeated over and over. I glared at the surface of the desk. Kutomi's tears are crying are stuck in my head, refusing to go away. Yet none of this feels real. Everything happened so suddenly it feels like an absurd dream. I sense someone standing in front of my desk. I look up and see Ryu. Would you like to go see how Hitomi-chan's doing? Ryu looks like she's about to cry. I realize that I'm not the only one worrying about her. Yeah, I'll go with you. And one more thing, Ryu. Yes? Don't worry too much about it. It's definitely not your fault. Yes, thank you. We exit into the hallway and see a familiar face standing there. It's no use going to the nurse's office. The club president just came back from there. Kei looks annoyed. Next to her is Furukawa, slouched over and depressed. Why are both Ryu and Furukawa feeling responsible for this? First, Hitomi, did she go to the hospital? Yeah, I was told she left early. By herself? Is she okay? All the nurse told me was that Hitomi-chan went home already. She wouldn't tell me anything else because of privacy issues. Privacy. This isn't time for that. For the extent of pain she was in, there's no way she could fall asleep in the nurse's office. If she had waited until after school, we could have walked back with her. I can't understand why she would have left early. Let's go to the teacher's office. If the nurses won't say anything, we'll have to go ask the class A teacher. I did that earlier. And what did she say? Kutomi went home because she said she wanted to. She spits the words out with disdain, as if she doesn't like the taste as they come out of her mouth. You told us to wait for Ichino to tell her yourself. What the hell does that mean? I don't know either. We all go silent. There are two things we know right now. Hitomi left early for her own accord, and the teacher knows about what happened and doesn't think it should be disclosed. Hey, aren't we? Kei opens her mouth. Maybe we aren't really her friends. Her words stab me like a knife. I turn my back to Kei and hope that she didn't see me flinch in pain. I stick my hand in my pocket and walk down the hallway in the opposite direction. Where are you going? Home. Hitomi's house? Just leave her alone for today. I don't know where she lives. Calm down. Getting worked up isn't going to help anyone. Head to the shoe locker without another word. Kei is right. Don't know anything about Hitomi. I'm pretending not to notice that fact, masking it with the fun times we've had every day. It's a fact that now mortifies me. I open my eyes and see that I'm in my room. I feel like I was having a bad dream. I'm drenched in sweat, with my head still on my pillow. I look around. The light only faintly illuminates the room, making it hard to tell if it's sunrise or sunset. I lean over and look at the clock to see what time it is. May 8th, Thursday morning. I feel tired. I vaguely remember brooding and worrying until late into the night. Suddenly it all comes back to me. It's only been one day since the incident. I can't believe it. Hitomi just crumpled to the ground and started sobbing. Then she went home on her own without saying anything to me. I flopped back on the bed again. Feeling of confusion kept washing over me. It's like back when I couldn't help but run away despite having nowhere to go. I knew that there wasn't a solution, but I thought something would change if I only kept worrying about it. I was the only one who thought that was acceptable. If I fall back asleep now, I won't feel like going to school when I wake up. That's how I lied to myself and take my mind off my problems. I get out of bed. I sluggishly put on my uniform. Don't want to escape into the fog of uncertainty anymore. The school is the same as always this morning. Nothing seems different from yesterday. By the time I reached the campus, homeroom was about to start. I heard a Class A instead of my own classroom. I look through the open door, but I don't see Hitomi anywhere. I walk up to a group of the girls standing at the back of the classroom. I want to talk to Ichino. A girl with glasses who looks like the leader of this group peers at me suspiciously. Looks at the round of the classroom and says, I don't think she's here today. Maybe she's absent. She wasn't here yesterday either. They say that girls never marked absent. Yeah, I heard it's been like that since elementary school. That girl didn't ever attend class, so it doesn't mean anything. Did you hear? She had a seizure on the way to school yesterday. That's why she left early. What? A seizure? I don't know the details, but it was horrible. She just started crying and screaming. Wow. Sounds like something's up with her. Girl's too smart. Hearing about her having weird seizures makes a lot of sense. I turned around to leave. Hey, wait. What's his problem? I hear dissatisfied grumbling from behind. I don't say a word as I head back to my own classroom. I can't stand hearing them say Katomi, they call Katomi that girl. I'm lost in thought for most of the morning. I'm still thinking about yesterday. I go over my memories delicately as if touching burn scars. In between her sobs, Katomi was repeating something. She's trying really hard to move as if running away from something only she could see. She looked like a little girl to me. Katomi was subconsciously remembering something. What could it have been? I just don't know. No way I can know anyway. I shake my head. The bell rings to mark the end of the morning class. Thinking about this won't change anything. So there's only one thing left to do. The teachers are just starting their lunch break in the office. I bow before entering and see the guidance counselor glaring at me. However, I have business with Class A teacher at the moment. I wait at her desk for her to return from class. Excuse me. Oh, what is it, Okazaki-san? Is Ichino absent today? Yes, I received a call saying that she will be out of school for some time. How long is some time? I'm not sure considering what happened yesterday. The word yesterday rang strangely in my ears. She means that it's not something strangers should stick their nose into. But I don't want to consider myself a stranger to Katomi. Please tell me Ichino's address. You mean her home address? I stare straight back at the teacher who's bewildered looking at me. I know that no explanation would be good enough for her. At the short staring contest, she gives me a resigned laugh, puts a textbook and attendance sheet she's carrying on the desk. Hold on, sits down and takes out a different register of names. You just need to know her address? Yes. Tears off a piece of paper and copies the address onto it. You'll be paying her a visit? Yeah. I think you should leave her alone for a while. Besides, the Ichino house is... Starts to say something, but quickly stops herself. Did Ichino tell you anything about it? No. I see then, it isn't my place to tell you. It's fine to visit her, but don't pay any undue pressure on her, understand? Yeah. Good. I slide the piece of paper into my pocket. I was really glad to see Ichino being more cheerful lately, you know? I make a quick bow and move to leave in the next moment. Kitaki-kun, can I ask you one thing? Yeah? Are you dating Ichino? Same type of question the gentleman from the other day asked. What a tough question to answer. Oh jeez. Ah jeez. Why do you ask? Answer question with a question, avoiding the issue. You're aware that Ichino-san receives a special treatment of sorts, right? Yeah. As long as her test scores are good, she doesn't need to attend her class. In the beginning, it would be this freedom that was given to Katomi, but I think it's strange. She must have wanted to be with the other students. Yes. Nods deeply and then waves for me to come closer. What she's about to say must be a secret. I'll explain what I can for now. Some years back, there was a period where an Ichino family appeared in the papers and on TV. Ichino received a lot of attention at the time and was bullied because of it. That's why all the adults who know about Ichino feel the same way. Let's leave her alone as much as possible. Because of that, Ichino became used to being by herself. It may be our fault that she turned out the way she did. That's why we needed someone to change Ichino. She looks at me straight in the eyes as she says these words. Now that you understand, I'll ask you again. Are you dating Ichino-san right now? Because of what she said, even harder to answer. I'll change the question if you don't know how to answer. Do you think that your being around Ichino is having an influence on her? In some ways, that's even harder to answer. Give me a simple yes or no. I answer, yes. I see. In that case, listen to me. I know I shouldn't be telling you this, but... She prefaces the statement and then lowers her voice. You know that there are discussions about Ichino transferring abroad. This is the first I've heard of it. I didn't know. An institution for special scholarships have recently been founded, and they're starting exams this year. The government is paying also associate costs to allow these students to attend an American university for a year. HNO is one of the candidates. Considering her prior evaluation, it's almost a sure thing. There are only 5 openings for honor students in science courses because it's such a big honor. The school wants her to be in the program. She explains that to me too. But HNO turned it down this past Tuesday. She said it's because she wants to study with everyone here. I said I understood and agreed with her, but this morning she told me she wanted to move ahead with the study abroad program. It's like someone doused me with a bucket of cold water. What would happen if she goes abroad? This is the best I can muster. She'd take a leave of absence from the school and live in America for a year. What would happen after that? It'd be up to her. She could return to Japan or move on to a university over there. Except, if she's serious about her academics, she wouldn't really benefit from returning to Japan. I can't do anything but stay quiet. I really don't understand why Katomi would make the decision now. But there's one thing I'm certain of. If I let her go overseas, I'll never see Katomi again. Put her study abroad issue on hold for now. But please understand that a decision has to be made within the next week. Alright. I'm sure it goes without saying that this stays between us. Yeah. Good luck in a lot of ways. I bow once more before leaving the teacher's office. Toykin, hello. Usual greeting. Spin around. Hey, how's it going? Oh, it's you. I'm a little jealous when you're so obviously disappointed. The usual joking attitude lightens the mood a bit. Seems like Katomi's absent. Yeah. And short with my answer. What were you doing in the teacher's office? Getting lectured as usual. Looks at me with a grin. Just go in. You want something from them too, right? She places her thumb on the handle of the sliding door to the teacher's office and says, Yeah. And she's about to open the door, she turns to me. Oh yeah, about school today. After school today, there probably won't be anyone at the drama club room. Something going on? It's a secret. Says that suggestively. Whatever, I have something to do today, so I can't go anyway. That's perfect then. Tell her that training resumes when she shows up next time. Also tell her that you, the club president, can't wait to eat lunch with her again. Seems to know exactly what's going on. Tell her yourself, I'm not your messenger. You're such an idiot. It's pointless unless the knight in shiny armor comes to rescue her. Excuse me, she enters the teacher's office before I can respond. When the last class of the afternoon ends, I dash out of the classroom. I run down the slope in front of the school and hurry on my way. I stop at the intersection where I normally part ways with Katomi. Trying to catch my breath, I take a piece of paper out of my pocket. The note indicates at a place I'm not familiar with. I spend all the afternoon classes looking at this piece of paper instead of listening to the teacher. I doubt that Katomi has to walk too far from where we part ways. I'm confident I can find it. No, I have to find it. Can you continue on with the paper clutch in my hand? Guided by the signs affixed to the utility poles, I wander down several streets. This area seems like a high-class neighborhood with mansions built on huge plots of land. I look at the nameplates of each household. However, I still can't find the address I'm looking for. Maybe it's not around here. Each time I turn a corner, I'm disappointed in you. Before I realize that the sun is setting, my shadow had grown long and darkens the street before me. The wind has also gone much colder. Smells of dinner are emanating from the houses around me. I experience a feeling of warmth and nostalgia. There's also an irritating feeling of something strangely familiar that I can't quite put my finger on. It should be around here. Noticing I'm desperately trying to remember something, I laugh wryly at myself. There's no way I'd be familiar with this area. No point in trying to find it in my memories. Maybe that was a reckless attempt to begin with. I could have just looked up the address on the map and found it right away. Maybe I should try again tomorrow. On the verge of giving up, I round up one more corner. The house before me looks familiar. It's a large 2-story house surrounded by a metal fence painted white. I cautiously look at the nameplate, Ichino, without thinking I run forward. The doorbell to the side of the wooden door. I go to press it, but hesitate for some reason. This doesn't feel right. I never went in through the front door. I look around. A narrow path running between the perimeter of the house and a hedge. In the shadow of a storage shed and a bucket, a shovel, and a rusted lawnmower. The path must lead to a garden. I walk along the path. Are we trespassing? The twilight is setting in. I smell the scent of grass. The feeling of asphalt under my feet gives way to that of soft soil. Wow. The garden is in disarray. Grass has been left uncut, and weeds of all kinds have grown tall. A couple of garden chairs sit next to a tilting table. The paint was crusted off, showing dark red rust. The wind brought us by dusk and blows through the forgotten ruins of this place. I can't do anything but stand here. This isn't how it's supposed to be. The grass was always certainly cleanly cut. The chairs and tables were painted bright white. A brick wall surrounded a flower bed full of blooming flowers. A dreamland had always awaited me. There's an opening at the corner of the hedge that I used to use as my way in. What is this? I think they call it deja vu. I know this place. I don't know how I know it. Push through the weeds and silently take one step at a time. The overgrown grass tangles my feet, trying to block my path. I need to go to the living room facing the garden. A tall glass door with a wooden frame separates the inside from the outside world. The curtain is closed, blocking me from seeing what's inside. As if it was some sort of signal, I noticed that the far edge of the glass door is open just a crack. That's probably the same as it was in the past. I pull out the sliding door with all my strength and it creaks loudly. It moves to the side little by little. I take off my shoes and enter the living room. It's dark inside. The wooden flooring is engulfed by the stale, dusty air. It has the mysterious smell of faded western sun rays. I focus my eyes and look around. There's a table in the middle of the room surrounded by a sofa, and the side tables rest against the wall. Their textures are completely gone, as if they're carved from stone. I'm sure they haven't been touched in years. I cautiously press on deeper past the living room. In the middle of the hallway is a set of stairs. Each step takes me slowly upward. I still have this bizarre feeling of being drawn forward by memories that don't belong to me. I tiptoe toward a door at the far end of the second floor. I still don't understand how I know this place. And I stand in front of the farthest door. I fumble the doorknob and turn it. It wasn't locked. This is also the same as it's always been. I slowly open the door. The aroma of old paper wafts through with orange light. I open the door and look inside. It seems to be a study. Books line all four walls. Deeper in the room is a grand wooden desk. And Katomi is sitting on the floor. Scattered beside her are cutouts and bits and pieces of old newspaper, magazines, and books. The spread of faded newspaper catches my eye. A fishing boat witnessed the crash in Alaskan waters. All 266 crew members or passengers are feared dead. Among the passenger list are Ichino, sending shockwaves through the world of physics. The unannounced super-unification theory fades in illusion. Silvers of pages from books are scattered all around, like soldiers who died protecting Katomi. I pick one up. Horizontal text is printed across the pages. Regarding the Calabi Yao manifold with the ADE type, isolated singularity, the recent reorganization, posthumous manuscripts of the late Ichinos. The fragments slip from my fingers. The late Ichino. Memories intersect. A snow-white apron, smell of classy tobacco pipe. A beautiful grassy yard that looks as if it came right out of a dream. That's right. Katomi's a little girl from back then. All she could do was sit on the floor and cry. Orange flames danced in front of my eyes. Katomi. My own voice had an empty echo to it. Hazy images are all I can recall, but even with just those I know this room, this house, and Katomi. Katomi and I met when we were kids, and yet I was the only one who forgot. You knew it was me from the beginning, didn't you? Katomi doesn't say anything. Why didn't you tell me? Those words aren't directed at Katomi. I'm disappointed with myself. Katomi refused to look at me and I stay silent. Then she slowly opens her mouth. Tomoe-kun, I was so happy when he came to the library. It's like the boy from back then that had come back. It's like we had never forgotten about me. But as we spent time together, I realized that you actually had forgotten all about me. Even so, you became my friend. Took care of me even though you thought we were meeting me for the first time. Katomi then adds, I didn't know anymore. I didn't know if I wanted you to remember me or to keep forgetting. Back then one who explores the truth must not be arrogant. One must not scoff at miracles simply because they cannot be explained through science. One must not avert one's eyes from the beauty of this world. These were my father's words, translated into many languages and printed in many books. They were very famous, but I still remember my father's true words. He had very, very deep and kind voice. This was when I was still small. Around sunset, when the wind starts to get cold, my mother and father were talking in the garden. I loved the prickly feeling of walking barefoot through the grass. I loved the warm light and the smell of earth and grass. I loved the white shiny chairs and table. Why is my name Katomi? With a pipe in his mouth, the father thought deeply. I loved seeing my father when he's asked like that. No matter how insignificant a question my father asked, always answered me. Take a look, Katomi. My father pointed at the sky. I squinted a little and looked up with him. The sky was so vast and so high. There are orange clouds and gentle wind. The world is formed by many very tiny harps that are invisible to the naked eye. Lots of harps? Yes, in the language of this country, the words we use is koto. The world is filled with harps, and each and every one plays a different kind of sound, and they all intertwine in a complex way to form a single melody. That's why the world is so beautiful. Who's playing the harps? That's a very difficult question. My father went back to thinking deeply. He held up his pipe and puffed out smoke. The branches of the garden trees waved in the wind, dappling the grass with shadows. And the shadows also shimmered on my father's gray hair, my mother's pale fingers and legs. Probably God, I think. That was my father's answer. Where is God? God is everywhere. We just can't see him. And he's always kindly watching over us. I thought long and hard about what my father said. Lots of harps are invisible to the eye. Kind God that is invisible to the eye. That's very, very confusing. It's okay to think that for now. There are many other things you need to learn first, Katomi. His large, rugged hands patted me on the head. On the chair next to my father, my mother was smiling. You have a bad habit of explaining things in such grandiose ways. The most important things are always the simplest. Right, dear? My mother winked, which made my father smile bashfully. My mother then picked me up and put me on her lap. Her snow-white apron smelled faintly of soap. Tomi-chan, a very beautiful 3 hiragana letters. Mommy and Daddy's precious, precious treasure. I loved my mother's voice because it always reverberated like a song to me. My mother's cheek was ticklish, soft and warm. I was so happy. My mother and father at our home in the garden with freshly cut grass. That was my whole world. Even when I entered the elementary school, that didn't change. When I tried reading the books on the teacher's desk, the boys made fun of me. Those books are for grown-ups, so kids aren't allowed to read them. Even the teachers who ran to me said, let's read the same book as everyone else. I cried. I didn't know there were books I shouldn't read. I had already finished reading all the books in the classroom on the first day. I wanted to stay home from school. I said my stomach hurt. My mother and father didn't force me to go. I got over my sickness right away, but my heart hurt in its place. Because I was lying. Even though we didn't go to the same school, I made a friend. I was rehearsing my violin by myself in the living room. My recital was coming up, so I was wearing the dress my mother had sewn for me. The black silky cloth made me feel like a big girl, so it was one of my favorites. After finishing my performance, a boy I'd never seen before was in the yard looking at me. Who are you? It told me I can't let strangers inside. I was a little scared, but I gathered the courage to say that. What is this place? My home. Who are you? Katomi. 3 hiragana letters, Katomi. They call me Katomi-chan. What's that? A violin. It sounds funny. I can't play it well yet. It sounds very, very nice when the teachers play it. The boy laughed. So I laughed with him. They seemed a little different from the bullies at school. Oh, who are you talking to, Katomi-chan? My mother, holding a hamper, came in and saw the boy. "Oh, we have an adorable visitor." The boy started to run away, but my mother called to him gently. "What's your name?" The boy stayed quiet for a while, and then sulkily said, "Tomoya Okazaki." "Oh, your name is Tomoya-kun." I grabbed tightly onto my mother's apron. I was a little scared by my mother talking to a boy I didn't know. I'm not supposed to let strangers into the house. My mother lay pushed against my back to get me closer to the boy. "Tomoya-kun, her name is Katomi-chan. Please be her friend." I bent forward and said this with a smile. "See, now he's not a stranger anymore." The boy staring at my mother, and he nodded. Tomoya-kun and I became friends. Whenever evening approached, Tomoya-kun would visit me. He would always come into the garden through the gap in the hedge like a stray cat. I looked forward to Tomoya-kun visiting every day. I loved reading together and playing house. I was playing hide and seek and tag in the yard. Tomoya-kun didn't seem to like any of those games though. He would always try his best to play with me. Whenever we were indoors, my mother would always make sweets for us. I had cakes, cookies, and cream puffs with Tomoya-kun. I always did halvesies with Tomoya-kun. Whenever it got dark, Tomoya-kun would go back home. And whenever I said see you tomorrow, he'd look troubled. He'd always say, "Might not come tomorrow." I loved Tomoya-kun. There were times when he didn't visit, but he would come most of the time. May 13th was my birthday. My father promised to buy a large teddy bear. I read in a book that girls typically wanted things like that. In truth, I didn't care what the present was. I loved that wonderful books that my father bought for me the best. I might have already realized this back then. I was somewhat different from Tomoya-kun and the others at school. Maybe that's why I wanted to be with them. I wanted to make more friends. When I told that to Tomoya-kun, he promised that he would definitely come to my party. I looked forward to it very, very much, but Tomoya-kun never came, and I never got my teddy bear. My mother and father had sudden business to attend to, and they were going overseas. "Dad, you're a liar. Mommy, I hate you." "Sorry, Katomi, this is something that we have to do. But you promised you'd be with me on my birthday. You said you'd give me a big teddy bear to have a birthday party. You said I could call Tomoya-kun." No matter what arguments I made, my mother and father wouldn't cancel their trip. "There's a feast for you in the refrigerator. I made lots of food that's good even when it's cold." "I hate you." "You eat it with Tomoya-kun when he comes to visit." "The maid will be coming too. If you need anything, be sure to tell her." I watched as my mother and father put on their shoes. A suitcase was placed in the hallway. It was my father's usual suitcase. Shiny silver suitcase he used to put important things in. "Katomi-chan." My mother looked so sad. Father said nothing. "I know before we get on the airplane, we'll look for a teddy bear for you. If we ship it from the airport, you'll get it on your birthday. It's only the biggest teddy bear we can find." "I don't want it. Don't want anything." What I really wanted wasn't a teddy bear. I wanted my mother and father to be with me. I wanted them to be with me and Tomoya-kun to celebrate my birthday. "You won't be gone long. We'll be home really soon." All I did was repeat, "I hate you." It's as if I had forgotten any other words. I thought that saying that would maybe keep them with me. He told me, "Be a good girl and wait for us." Father gently placed his hand on my head. And then he picked up his suitcase. The door closed with finality. I was all alone. My mother and father never returned. After they left, I cried the whole time. I was always a crybaby, but then that was the first time in my life that I cried so much. Cried and cried. When I was worn out from crying, I went to sleep. When I woke up, I cried some more. Morning came and I was still alone. I brushed my teeth and washed my face, and then I went to open the refrigerator. It was full of Mother's cooking and the sweets she had baked. I feel like eating the apple pie. Using the largest fork I could find, I did my best to cut it in half. I took the slightly larger half and put it back in the pack in the refrigerator. I was saving it for Tomoya-kun. Tomoya-kun would come over around evening. He'd be here to celebrate my birthday with me. The apple pie was chilled, moist, and sweet. It was very delicious. After I finished it, I felt a little better. I got on a footstool to wash these dishes, but suddenly the doorbell rang. I thought maybe the maid had arrived. What if? Maybe my mother and father had come home. I hurried down the hallway. I locked the door. There were many adults staring there who I didn't recognize. It must be Katomi-chan. Hello. Who are you? Oh, we work with your mommy and daddy. Is it okay if we come in? I'm not allowed to let strangers in. In that case, can you ask your maid to come here? She's here, but she's not around right now. The maid wasn't here, so I lied. I don't know why, but I was so scared of those adults. I know this is asking a bit much, but can you let us inside? I'm not allowed to let strangers inside. Mommy and Daddy are out doing something important. You haven't heard about your mommy and daddy? Because I didn't respond, the adults told me. The airplane my mother and father were on had a mechanical problem and fell into the ocean far away. Their very important papers had also fallen into the ocean. They thought there might be a copy of the papers in this father's study. They said that this was something very important to everyone in the world, so they wanted to let me to let them inside. The adults repeated that over and over, but I remained silent, because I still didn't understand that one thing I wanted to know the most. Where's Mommy and Daddy? I said I hated Mommy and Daddy. I really loved them, but I said I hated them. I have to apologize. To say I'm sorry. Where's Mommy and Daddy? No one could tell me. Everyone looked as if they were angry, sad, or troubled. I became scared. I became very, very scared. I became so scared that I couldn't bear it any longer. I slammed the door with all my strength. I heard pounding noises from the outside door, but they were calling out, "Be a good girl and open the door." I locked the door, ran through the house and locked all the windows. Very scared. Didn't understand what had happened. My head was spinning while I tried best to think. But no matter what, I still couldn't understand. The sound of the adults panicking on the door soon stopped. In its place, the telephone began to ring. I was scared, but I answered anyway. It might have been my mother and father. So I told to pick up the receiver. Hello? From the newspaper reporting department. I'd like to confirm the few things regarding the accident. Voice of a stranger. I don't know anything. Hello, miss. Are you Katomi Ichino? Do you have a minute to talk with me? It pained me to ask this while your parents are still missing, but I don't know anything. Put on the receiver back in his cradle. The telephone began ringing again right away. No matter how many times I put the receiver down, the telephone would ring again right away. I tried my best to cover my ears, but the telephone wouldn't stop ringing. Very, very, very scared. My hands shook and teeth chattered. I'm scared. Mommy, Daddy, Tomoe-kun, I'm scared. Tomoe-kun. Called out his name again and again. Tomoe-kun never came for me. Took the scissors from my mother's sewing kit. Large pair of scissors my mother used to cut the cloth. Telephone, I'm so sorry, I thought to myself. I grabbed the phone line and snipped it with the scissors. After that, the telephone stopped ringing.